Hello and welcome to my channel. Today's video is going to be demonstrating how to use Fusion 360, an Autodesk product, to create this toy brick. I'll be creating the toy brick with the standard pegs on the top and 3 legs on the bottom. I won't be doing the some of the interior dimensions as that will overly complicate the video. And you'll have to forgive me, I'm not an expert in Autodesk. But I thought a nice beginner tutorial would be useful, and I thought I could deliver that for you. So hopefully we'll be able to do that. So you'll have to, of course, get to the point of a new document, and you see I have an empty one here, and then we can start from there. I'll be referencing this it's not I guess it's a document model. I'll be referencing that through our construction here, but we'll be starting with. Before I get started with our video for today, I want to show you my Patreon page. You can go to that at mathcodeprint.com, or no, I'm sorry, patreon.com mathcodeprint, and you'll see, and this is the place where you can become a patron. And I definitely appreciate any kind of contribution you make. It'll help me to make more videos and focus more on making videos. So consider becoming a patron today, or just follow me on Patreon. I'm trying to make certain announcements there first to give you something extra. So give that a thought. And the first thing we'll be adding is a sketch. And a sketch defines a 2D drawing that will define a 3D object. So our first sketch is just going to be the larger outline of the brick. And we'll do that in our. To begin, we're going to add a sketch. You can add a sketch by clicking on the plus icon or create sketch, and you're presented with a plane selection tool. We're going to select the XY plane here, and then it's oriented for a top-down view to that plane. The next thing we're going to be doing is adding a rectangle, and you can add it from here, but I want to also show you that you can select all your different shapes from the sketch pull down here. I'm going to be doing a 2-point rectangle. I'm going to start from the origin and move up. So without clicking, you can see that the one measurement is highlighted and ready for text. So we can just type that in. And I'm going from a drawing that I have with me. You can get that drawing from, if you look in the description, it'll be listed there. And it's a drawing, a CAD drawing of Legos. I'm sorry, of a toy brick. I didn't mean to say the other thing. So these are the outside dimensions, and that's all we have to do for that sketch. So when you finish the sketch, you hit. The second sketch we're going to make is a single sketch that defines the peg here. Let's open the sketch in our demonstration model to get a look at it. You'll see that it's, from looking from the top down, it's simply a circle that's offset by 3.9 and 3.9 from this corner. We're going to do the same thing and I'll do it like that so you can see it. And its radius is, or its diameter is 4.84. Now on the drawing I have them defined as radii, so you can just simply double it to get the diameter. So let's go ahead and do that over in our lesson here. First, let's use our fit to bring this up close so it's a little easier to see. So now let's add our second sketch. So to add the sketch, I'm going to click the surface that I want to add it to, and that attaches the sketch to that surface. We'll add a sketch, and then you'll see it automatically, and we didn't have to select the plane that time. You don't need to orient this way. You can stay flat, or you can stay in orthographic like I just did. So let's start out by selecting a circle, and we'll put it in about the area we need it to be. And then we'll add a measurement constraint. So you can see again, once we start drawing the circle, it asks for the diameter. So in our case, it's 4.84, and hit enter when you're finished. Now we can move this circle around. So we could place this arbitrarily where we need it, but instead we're going to define something called a constraint to make it exactly where we need it. To position the outline of our peg shape, we're going to be adding a sketch dimension. And I had thought that was going to be called a constraint, but not in Fusion. So with the dimension tool selected, you can see that by the 2 arrows and the dimension lines. I'm going to select the center of this circle. I'm going to select this edge. And you'll see that it automatically adds our dimension lines. and we're going to just type in 3.90, and you don't have to put in millimeters, it presumes that. You'll see that the dimension tool is still active, so we can select the center again and select this edge, and we'll have our dimension in this direction, and again put 3.90 and press enter. And that correctly positions the outliner peg. So to extrude the peg, we're going to stop the sketch. We're going to select that particular we're going to select that particular sketch, and then we're going to select extrude again. We'll do it from the pull down this time. And the extrusion in our case, oops, I guess I didn't properly pre-select it. In this case, it's going to be 1.8 millimeters high, and there's our first peg. The next thing we'll do is we'll create an array. I'm not sure what it's called in Fusion 360. Array of these pegs going forward this way, and one do that. So here I have switched back to my demo model, and I've highlighted the array in my history here, and you can see I've created the array that way. So now let's do that in to add the 7 remaining pegs. We're going to create a pattern, and we'll use that create menu to do that. So we'll do create, and we'll select pattern, and we'll be using a rectangular pattern. We'll go straight to using the dialog box, because I find it's a little bit, at least for me the first time, it was a little bit easier to use. So we're going to be selecting faces. I think you could also select features and other things as well. Select these 2 faces. So you just kind of work through each thing as you go. We're going to have 2 directions, so I'm going to select the directions. And the way you select a direction is basically, I think, is a line that points in the direction you want it to go. I'm going to select 2 of those because we're going to have 2. Oops, I guess no, we don't want that one. We want this one. So let's try that now. So I guess it's normal for this is pointing that way. You might be able to select faces as well. I haven't tried that yet. The distance is going to be spacing because we're going to tell it how much is in between each one. We'll have 4 in that direction, and the distance between centers is 8, and you can see it's already populated the 4 in that direction. In this, we'll just have 2, and the distance between will also be 8, and 8, not meters, millimeters. So there's our pegs, and just click OK, and they'll be filled in. So the next thing we'll be doing is brick. The next piece to our toy brick is to remove the bottom. Let me go over to our model to show you what I plan on removing. Basically, we're going to be removing, this shape here. So we're going to define a sketch to remove that has these 4 edges. Now, you can also do that with something called a skin. However, I don't want to introduce too many things in this first video. So let's go back to our new brick, and we're going to add a sketch. We're going to set the sketch to the same XY plane as we did in the first one, and then we'll hide these items here so that we can work only on the sketch. So I'll be adding a rectangle like before. Now my tendency is to click on that corner, but in Fusion you want to just, if you have the dimension, just stop. So the measurements are 1290 for the side, or 12.9 millimeters, and for the bottom I hit tab to get to 28.9, and then you can hit enter. Now I'm going to position this the same way I did in the other, the way I did this peg, sorry for my stuttering there, with a sketch dimension. So I'm going to pick this very corner, and I'm going to pick this side line here, and that'll give us the sketch dimension. Now, in this case, it's going to be set back by, let's see, I have to find it on my drawing, is just 1.5 millimeters. And then we're going to do the same thing in the other direction. So we're going to do sketch dimension, and you can see that there is a shortcut for this after you get used to it. So it's going to be this side here, and that, and again, it's going to be 1.45 millimeters again. So now we have our sketch to hollow, and you'll notice that it lines up with the edges of these perfectly. There's a lot of ratios in Legos that are interesting and clearly planned. That's why the brick fits on top of the other one so nicely. So the next thing we'll do is we'll extrude that sketch. Our next step is to extrude that sketch to remove the inside of that brick. So we'll be selecting the extrude again, and we'll select the profile. And I'll do that by, if you press shift and your middle mouse, you can rotate like that. I'm going to select this profile. That's our sketch. And the distance is going to be 8.6 millimeters. And you can see that Fusion is smart enough to realize that an extrusion into an existing object wants to hollow it out. So that's how we got the inside of our bricks hollowed out. So to add the legs, let's first take a look at our model brick here. And you can see that we're going to be adding 3 legs. And we'll be doing it the same way we did the pegs, is we'll be adding one sketch for one sketch that defines both the inside diameter and the outside diameter, and then we'll create a pattern for the other 2. So let's go back to our new model, and I'm going to select this interior pane and to create my sketch. So I'll create my sketch, and again you'll see that it doesn't this time, it doesn't in this case ask you for the plane because we've already selected it. So I'm going to click my middle mouse and pan, and then we're going to add a circle. So we're going to add a circle with a center and a diameter, and I'm going to put this in an arbitrary position, and then we're going to add a second circle the same way. Now you notice I didn't enter the diameters in this case because I want to show. So in the case of these circles, to add the dimension, I can simply select the circle, and you can see that it's asking for a dimension right here. If it doesn't ask for it, what you can do is you can click on diameter like that. I think for me it held it over from my previous click. So in our case, the outside diameter is 6.5, and then we'll do the inside one too. See how it didn't? Oh, it did. It automatically asked for a diameter. So that's nice and intuitive. So 4.80. So even if you miss it on the first go around, you can add it after that. So the next thing we'll be doing is extruding this to reach the bottom edge of our shape here. So let's stop the sketch here. And you can see that we want to extrude this all the way to be even with this plane. So I'm just going to see if I can, let's see if I can select, yeah. So we're going to hit create and extrude again. And it's going to be 8.60 like before. And you'll see we've got our leg. So the thing I forgot to do, however, is to align it. So let's go back into our sketch. And you can see that we can still do this after we've created the extrude. So I'm going to select this and this line here, and let's see if I can do a right click and add a dimension. Nope. All right, so let's do sketch and dimension. Now I might be missing features that might be available. I'm by no means an expert, like I said. So the dimensions for this are 7.9 from the outer edge. And let's do it again for this side. And because it's selected, we can just click without having to reinitiate the tool. And I think I just want to bring this out, so you can just grab these and move them wherever you want. And that's position. Now you'll see when we stop the sketch, our extrusion is there. So the last thing we want to do for this drawing is to create a pattern of these legs. So we're going to do create, and we'll select pattern. And this is going to be a rectangular pattern. And let's select our faces. So it's that face, and that face. I think that I get the outside one. And that face. So it should be 3 selected. And let's select the direction. I think I want to do this. Nope. I think I want to do that and unselect this. So it should be 1 selected. And we're going to be doing spacing 3. And the distance is going to be 8, I believe. Yep. And there they are. So that's it. That's our brick, and let's go home. I'm not going to do the text on this because I think there's enough to handle. I don't know what I just did there. Oh, I selected whole for some reason. I'm not going to do the text on this because I felt like it was a little too complicated for a single video. And you know, if you like this, make sure you subscribe. I do videos a lot on FreeCAD, OpenSCAD, and OpenSCAD, but I also do them on Onshape, Fusion 360, and some other things as well. And someday I'll be adding some Arduino stuff and whatnot. So have a great day and video.